I got it. Bib leaders are swinging for the fences to renovate Bloomfield Athletic Complex. Yes, Frank, I'm here on the corner of MLK and Cherry Street. You can actually see an emergency truck still here behind me, and the fire hydrant, that's where the bus hit, is still on the ground. One of the stops could be Atrium Health Navicent, and this could be your view of me all the way from the sky. Now again, this case was filed before Brown was even on the Water Authority board, and as for those most recent allegations, we'll keep you updated as they unfold. This green line right here is actually the edge of the stage. That way is the stage, that way all the seats, including mine, way out here in the nosebleeds. Atrium Health could soon double in size in a merger with a Midwest company. We'll tell you what that means for us here in Central Georgia just ahead. Now, when they say the words convenience center, it seems like they really take the word convenience to heart. I mean, all you have to do to drop off your recycling is pull up to this central drive-through location. And to take out the trash, just back up to the dumpster, pop the trunk, and toss it out. 50,000 trash bins distributed so far, but that's not including these blue recycle bins. This steeple stood for over 40 years before it came down in the storms last week, but on this Palm Sunday, the congregation looked past the damage with grateful hearts and unyielding faith. And if you missed all the action tonight, don't worry, you can get back out here as early as 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. That's when all the judging starts on that barbecue goodness. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go get something to eat.
If you live in Macon-Bibb County and plan to head to the polls this month, you'll see 2 races for Macon Water Authority seats on the ballot.
But what exactly is the Water Authority and why does it matter? Anthony Montalto joins us in studio to explain and to show us why it's essential for one Macon business.
Well, water's pretty important. It's one of those things that you don't really think about until you don't have it. The Macon Water Authority strives to make sure that never happens. Whether you're washing your hands, grabbing a cold drink, or even pouring your morning coffee, water is essential.
Everybody needs water.
At Fall Line Brewing,
beer is like 95% water.
Takes the main stage.
When you were looking at a poured glass of beer, you think about it as beer, right? But really, what it is, it's about that much water.
Lead brewer Nick Landis,
I get to do all the fun parts of the brewing.
Says they use a lot of water.
When we're going through the course of a day of brewing, we are putting about 900 gallons of liquid into this tank.
But who provides all that water? The Macon Water Authority.
Almost everybody in this community got a relationship with us as it relates to just drinking water. And if you remember, we were given the title of the best water in America.
Chairman Sam Hart says the authority provides clean drinking water to 155,000 people across Macon-Bibb. It's responsible for sewer and pipe maintenance too.
That's a tremendous task ahead of us, but it's a tremendous opportunity too to start trying to replace pipes that have been here for over 100 years.
Hart is retiring, but he says it takes a special kind of leader to run the place.
A person who has that servant leadership mentality, and a person who wants to see a better Macon and Bibb.
Now, Hart says the Water Authority also provides support to the Industrial Authority for economic development. He says the next Water Authority chair should have a vision for the community. Back to you guys. Digging up grave markers is hard work.
The grave marker number, we know what it is. It's 119.
Mary Esther Smith,
That's it, right there.
knows that from experience.
Found a metal mark at just about every one of them.
Smith is part of a team working to catalog hundreds of graves hidden in Milledgeville's Red Hill Cemetery. Most people interred here are former prisoners from the old state prison, but Smith says that's not all.
And their babies buried here. 12 days old, there's one 2 hours old, some of them are stillborn. This Willie Mae Adams, she was 5 years old.
Edwin Atkins,
I got a lot of stuff to show you.
is in charge here. He says there could be 2,000 graves, and his team marks all of them.
In this piece, it says 1,500. In the survey by the Southeastern Archaeological Service, it's 650 to 700. So, and in another publication, it said 2,000.
It may seem like searching for needles in a haystack, but there's actually a pretty organized system. This white flag means that a metal detector pinged the location, and this orange flag means that a cadaver dog hit on it too. They say chances are even better of finding a lost grave if they can find a Cherokee rose bush like this one.
My great-grandfather was the chaplain here for 14 years, from like 1922 on.
That's what got Atkins involved.
he took care of the cemetery, and he planted white roses at graves, and he planted white roses on the boundary, and he actually put a white rose on each person as they entered the electric chair.
A small sign of respect 100 years ago,
He served his debt to society
helping this crew respect the dead for 100 more.
because he was executed. And I said, all we can do now is just try to preserve their resting place.
In Milledgeville, Anthony Montalto, 13 WMAZ News.
Welcome back. Tonight you will finally hear what happened when a pregnant 14-year-old girl was left in a locked Bibb Sheriff's Office interview room overnight. 13 WMAZ gathered dozens of documents from the case, including the internal affairs report, pictures, and video. Anthony Montalto explains how it all happened as you hear from the man who lost his job over the case for the first time.
The sheriff's office says it happened at the investigations division on 3rd Street and Riverside Drive, March 24th. I spoke with some of the people involved as I dug through hundreds of pages of records and interviews, all that to put together a timeline.
I don't respect none of this, and I don't accept none of this.
You just heard part of a Bibb County Sheriff's internal affairs investigation, an interview with the mother of a pregnant 14-year-old. According to their report, the girl was left in a locked interview room for 21 hours. We're concealing her identity since she's underage. Her attorney is John Fleming.
Nobody came to check on her. She was yelling out for help. She was knocking on the door.
I didn't get checked up on. I was talking to the camera thing. I don't know if it was on or what, but I would ask them, like, can I call my mama again?
Chris Patterson heads up investigations at the Bibb Sheriff's Office.
Apparently, the 14-year-old was brought in, witness, and was just inadvertently just left in the room.
This report shows deputies brought her in around 10 a.m. March 24th as a potential murder witness. Sergeant Omar Sanders was in charge.
I was in the office about 30 minutes before I made contact with anyone, because I was getting my paperwork, going over, just pretty much getting my bearings.
When Sanders walked into the observation room, he looked at the surveillance feed. He saw the girl in room 4 and her boyfriend in the next room. Sanders says another deputy took the girl to his office.
I wasn't preparing to interview her.
He realized she didn't have anything to do with the case and called her mother and grandmother. He couldn't reach them.
So over there I said, hey, Lieutenant, you can actually take her back. I'm gonna go interview Stevens.
That's the girl's boyfriend, who they arrested that day. He's locked up now on drug and simple battery charges. Sanders interviewed him sometime around noon or 1. Meanwhile, the girl went back to interview room 4 and stayed there. The door was shut.
The doors should not be closed, and I have reiterated that if they're a witness, the door will not be closed because they're there voluntarily. They can get up and leave anytime they want.
The internal affairs report shows the door was also locked. Sanders says he only spoke to the girl in his office. He says he's not sure how the door got locked when she went back to the room, but he says it's easy to lock someone in accidentally.
Almost every investigator has been locked in that room because somebody actually goes past, or when you go to open the door, you actually press that lock and now you're locked in the inside.
I stayed there. I kept waking up. I'm knocking on the door. I'm hearing voices, and I'm hearing like the copy machine on. I'm like, why nobody ain't came to the door yet?
Nobody came.
The investigation revealed several different people noticed that she was there, heard she was there, mentioned it to other people, but nobody took any appropriate action to make sure that she was taken care of, cleared, and released.
Sanders says he told other investigators several times the girl was free to go. When he left sometime around 5:50 p.m., he says other investigators were watching the camera feed. The girl was still in room 4.
That young lady was failed that day, but it wasn't by investigator Sergeant Sanders. It was by Bibb County Sheriff's Office and other supervisors and investigators in that building.
After 21 hours, she threw a chair at the door, tore pieces of wood from it bit by bit to create a hole. Security camera video shows her walking through the investigations office parking lot around 7 a.m., then almost 3 miles to her aunt's house.
If she gets out of that room, if she's sitting in the lobby, if the door is open, if she's taken home, if a phone call, that never happened. This never happens.
Fleming says it left the girl shaken.
She was very terrified, afraid to leave the home, afraid to sleep outside of the bed with her mother.
Now they're focused on the future.
We plan to file a lawsuit and continue to conduct discovery while my client gets the treatment that she needs.
Some good news here. The girl had her baby and both are doing well. Meanwhile, Sergeant Sanders is fighting for his job back. He says since he was never in charge of watching the girl, the responsibility falls on other deputies. Sanders says he thinks he's the fall guy, but according to the report, other deputies say they never heard Sanders ask anyone to take the girl home. In her interview, Captain Shelley Rutherford told investigators that Sergeant Sanders said the girl was his responsibility since it was his investigation.
All right, thank you, Anthony. The girl's family was not comfortable talking with us about the story, and the Bibb Sheriff's Office would not comment on the case. They say it's an ongoing investigation now that Sanders has filed an appeal to get his termination reversed.